think we are doing pretty good, keeping an eye on the time, because I know Parvez Saab, after our seminar, have also arranged a buffet downstairs, so I think some of you will not be aware. So I think that is part of this seminar. The last speaker has created a certain curiosity in Family of the Heart and the discussions, because people were asking me, is Farzana Hasan is on this side of the border or that side of the border? So I said, I don't know. You people come and listen which side of the border she is. I think some of you know she has been very active in our community and has given voice to some of the concerns of the Muslim as well as the women's perspective. I think she's one of the few people who does creative writing. He published a novel and also a scholarly book like The Prophecy and the Fundamentalist Quest. So I think there's a sort of a dialogue that goes on. I just found out recently that she has been sort of pursuing her career and wants to do the doctorate in some university in America. So maybe next time when we see her, she might be Dr. Farzana Hasan, but not there yet, but it's on the way. So I think I'm also as curious as you people are what she has to sort of contribute and say, and I'm sure it will be quite interesting for all of us. So Farzana Hasan, you have the microphone if you want to use it.
Yeah, I will need to use the mic, also to fend off any shoes that might be tossed my way. Is it on?
No, it's on.
Your name doesn't start with a B.
Well,
What is this one?
Feedback.
okay. Is it on?
Start. It's on.
I start by quoting a verse from the Quran, not for any religious reasons.
It's not on.
It's God again. You know? We can hear you without the...
Yeah.
No, my voice doesn't carry it.
Kaliyalan rabbi sunar raha hai. Muntazameen.
No, I need to sit because
If you
of
stand up, it'll help.
Okay.
I think I'm requesting Parvez Saab for our...
Yes.
Is it good?
Right.
No.
Okay.
Yes and no.
Okay. I'll do without it. I'll try to do my best then.
Just a minute.
Is it another amplifier?
Hey, it's God, you know. The God doesn't want me to say this. Again.
Okay, without the mic.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'll start anyway.
Yes.
And I start with a verse of the Quran, actually verses of the Quran. Those who disbelieve from among the people of the book and the idolaters will not desist from disbelief until there came to them the clear evidence, a messenger from Allah reciting to them the pure scriptures. Therein are lasting commandments. Now the reference here is to the eternal character of the Quran. It is a claim made by the Quran 14 centuries ago, one which in my opinion is quite extraordinary in the light of more or less established truths. The bulk of humanity has witnessed and attested to these truths over time, that societies perpetually evolve and social norms change. Therefore, all societies need to reconsider the laws regulating altered ethics. It is also a claim that has not as yet been tested, as undoubtedly scripture is often treated as sacrosanct, demanding abject loyalty from the faithful. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Is the mic needed? Okay, good. Today I speak as a skeptic. So there's your answer. And as a skeptic, I want to examine the validity of such claims, both in the light of modern circumstances and in the light of the many theological constructs that have thus far attempted to confer some legitimacy to such claims. Islam discourages critical inquiry of the Quran. By contrast, Christianity and Judaism, the other two great monotheistic faiths, permit a liberal theology to scrutinize scripture without penalty. Islam rejects the idea entirely. But I wonder, why must any document, old or new, religious or secular, be exempt from scrutiny of intellectual processes that could enable an understanding of its true essence. Such thoughts have inspired me to delve into today's topic, which seeks to either establish or dismantle the notion that the Quran relates well to modern times. I would first like to consider the very concept of relevance and what exactly it may mean in a particular context. At the very outset, I can say that when we speak of the relevance or otherwise of something, we are in fact making a harsh judgment on it, one that forces us to take sides. Additionally, relevance may not necessarily be positive. Something can also be relevant in a negative way. When we read about the history of Nazi Germany, for example, it is relevant to us in the way that it evokes conditions that speak to genocide. It helps us understand the social conditions that ignite contempt for others in the hope of preventing such outrages in the future. Last of all, the term relevance connotes a relationship. Concepts, beliefs, ideologies, philosophies, and social systems have to be relevant to something or the other. With that in mind, it is appropriate to ask, is it modern society that we are trying to determine the Quran's relevance to? Is it our modern sensibilities, human nature, our contemporary legal framework, our political institutions, modern ideals of humanism and universalism? What exactly is it that we are trying to establish this relevance to? I believe that most contemporary human societies and communities are headed towards an acknowledgement and appreciation of our common worth and dignity that seeks to transcend barriers of race, tribe, gender, and creed. It is an idea stemming from the Jeffersonian tradition of recognizing all interpretations of a particular faith, as well as diversity of faiths and absence of faith, as valid. Hence the need to create, as Jefferson said, a wall between church and state. Such a recognition affords an individual the freedom to believe anything according to his or her preferences, experiences, and temperament, without fear of recrimination and persecution. By devising such a model, a system of governance has recognized all faiths, opinions, and creeds, or lack of faith, as both valid and worthy of respect. Thus, humanity has come to an understanding of freedom of choice and conscience as being an inalienable right for all. And this new all includes women, minorities, and any other types of underprivileged people. According to our modern sensibilities, therefore, a woman can have the same rights and privileges as men. For example, she can enter into a marriage contract by her own free will, as opposed to being required to seek permission from her father or male guardian, as Orthodox Islamic law requires. Societies built on these principles are known to work for the maximum number of people. As John Stuart Mill noted in his great humanistic essays, the most moral societies are those that deliver the greatest good for the greatest number of people. This number must of necessity include people of either gender and all races, colors, and creeds. It is this social framework that I am attempting to determine the Quran's relevance or irrelevance to. One finds traces of these ideals in the Quran, but dare I say, they exist only sporadically? Dare I say that they have not been developed to the point where our modern sensibilities can accept them? The Quran embodies some of these principles in a rudimentary form, but dare I say that the way in which these have been fine-tuned in contemporary societies far exceeds the standards set by the Quran? Modern societies accord equal rights and dignity to all of their citizens, at least in principle, and strive not to discriminate on the basis of race, gender, or religious affiliation. They do so without qualification, without preconditions, and without threat of recrimination. Dare I say that societies proposed by the Quran, on the other hand, are hierarchical, differentiating between the rights of men and women, the rights of Muslims and non-Muslims, and the rights of the free and the captive?